Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. If you have little people in your life, you might want to share this episode with them. It's a really fun story. Donna Neumann is back again. She's reading her second book from Annie the Porcupine series. So welcome back, Donna.
Thank you for having me back.
Always. You keep writing books. I'll keep having you back. We'll have a good time.
All right.
Donna Neumann lives in Clarkston, Michigan with her husband, Chris. With a master's degree in elementary education and a minor in early childhood, she has spent over 20 years of her life teaching preschool and elementary school students. Throughout the dogs are so excited to have you here today.
Can you they want a birthday party.
That's amazing. So throughout the majority of her career, her focus has been on young fives and early kindergarten. Recently celebrating her 50th birthday, a huge milestone in anybody's life, she believes that her heart will always be at the age of 5. As a proud mother of 3 and grandmother of 1, she cherishes the moments she spends with her family. Now that her children are adults and not home as frequently as she might like, Donna keeps busy with her 3 cats, dog, and a diverse array of tropical fish. When it comes to reading, her interests are limitless. From the enchanting world of Harry Potter to the intriguing back of a shampoo bottle, she finds joy in exploring various literacy works. Another pastime is engaging in multiple games, including video games. Additionally, her love for travel has fueled a goal to visit all 50 of the United States, and she's only got 5 left. I'm so impressed with that. You're only 50 and you've already reached that goal. I think that's really impressive.
I like to travel.
Yeah, I like to travel too. I just don't get as much time to do it as I might like. Today, Donna's going to be reading from her second book, I Want a Birthday Party. And this is Annie the Porcupine. Where did you get the idea specifically to write about a porcupine? I mean, why a porcupine? Why not an aardvark? Why not a giraffe? Why not a panda bear? What was the thing that got you to write about a porcupine?
Well, when we went back and forth on the character of my book, the first thing people said was a bunny. As a teacher, there's so many books about bunnies. I'm like, I do not want a bunny. But then I really knew that the character was going to be Annie, which is my oldest daughter. And my daughter was a little snarky when she was growing up. And, I wanted to put her feelings into those books. And I'm like, well, if you're going to be snarky, you kind of have to be a porcupine. So that's how Annie the Porcupine started, was because she's a little snarky.
Snarky and prickly kind of go together.
Yes. Yes. But she's the sweetest girl in the world. But there were times she could be a little snarky and a little prickly.
What did your daughter think about you writing this story with her in mind? What was her response?
Well, I actually approached her. So all of 3 of my children now will be a porcupine. My third book is introducing a third porcupine, my son Cody. But when I asked her at first, she said, well, just as long as I don't come across as being mean.
Yeah.
So, and I said, well, you're not mean. It's just, you kind of are made fun of a little bit. So, you kind of have a little bit of attitude, but you're not mean. So she was completely for it. And, all of my kids are all probably my biggest promoters. They're constantly talking about my books. She's a mail carrier and she'll go into the library and she'll say, do you want a new copy of my mom's next book? And so she's, I think, pretty proud of being the fact that she's Annie the Porcupine.
That's very, very awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. I Want a Birthday Party. Where did you get the idea for this book?
Well, actually, as I was finishing the first book, I Don't Celebrate Anything, I started thinking, there's so much more that I can do with Annie the Porcupine. And the second thing that after I thought about, Christmas and holidays is birthdays. As a teacher, we always knew that one kid who was not invited to a birthday party, or the one kid who didn't go to birthday parties, and how they felt left out. Matter of fact, as a teacher, I would tell my kids, if you don't invite everybody, then we don't talk about birthday parties at school, because it's just one of those that there's a lot of hard feelings.
Sure.
So I'd already started thinking about that as the first book came. And then I just sat down and I said, you know what? I think this book is more, there's more to the story than me just thinking that. And so that's when I started working on it. Was pretty close to as soon as I was done with I Don't Celebrate Anything.
That's awesome. I would love to hear this story. When you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
All right. So let's see. Can you see it?
Yep, there it is.
All right. It was Friday, and Annie knew two things. Tomorrow was her birthday, and she was jealous of Rhonda. Annie really liked Rhonda, but Rhonda had gotten the one thing that Annie had always wanted, a birthday party. Last weekend was Rhonda's birthday. Everyone but Annie had gone. It was a Western Princess party at Mount Pork Ranch. All week, everyone continued to talk about the party, share silly cowpoke jokes, and wear the hats that Rhonda's mom had made. Annie wished she could have gone, but mostly she wished she could have a big party. Thankfully, the bell rang and Annie didn't have to think about Rhonda or birthday parties anymore. Rhonda is so lucky, thought Annie as she walked to the bus. On the bus, the new girl, Julie, sat next to Annie. Guess what? Tomorrow is my birthday. Mine too, said Annie. Really? Julie said excitedly. That makes us twins. I guess, Annie shrugged. Since we just moved here, my mom says she will take me to Fort Carrot. Have you been there? Julie asked. Do you want to come? I can't, responded Annie. Oh, that is okay. What are you doing for your birthday? Nothing, Annie said sadly. Oh, are you grounded? Is that why you didn't go to Rhonda's party? Annie sighed. No, my family doesn't do birthday parties. Julie gasped. No birthday parties? That means you don't get presents. You don't get birthday cake. That is awful. Annie looked out the window. Tomorrow she was going to be 8 and she wasn't going to get the one thing that she wanted. She screamed in her head, I want a birthday party. A big birthday party with tiara, Western hats, carrot cake, and presents, just like Rhonda. Annie sniffed. Julie whispered, I'm sorry you don't get a birthday. Annie snapped. I don't want to talk about birthdays or birthday parties. Okay, but I'm coming over, remember? Julie responded. Whatever, but no talking about birthdays. Fine, smiled Julie. When they got to Annie's house, Mom invited the girls to help bake banana cookies. I never baked cookies before, Julie said excitedly. Why are we? Mom answered. Because it's Friday and the sun is shining. Annie rolled her eyes, but Julie's eyes got big. Really? Mom likes to bake cookies just because, Annie answered. Julie didn't say a word. After a snack of cookies and molasses milk, Mom told the girls to play. As they entered Annie's room, Julie immediately ran up to Annie's Princess Porky doll. Oh, where did you get her? It's what I want for my birthday. Annie responded, from Granny and Pappy. For Christmas? Just because, Julie repeated, just because. That's when she noticed Annie's wall of dolls. Wow, Julie said. Yeah, Uncle Gordon sends me a doll from everywhere, said Annie as she pointed at a doll. This one is my favorite. I think it's from Japan. She picked up a note. She picked up another. I just got this. He's silly and always sends a note. A gift for my niece I found while in Spain. I think she's rather pretty, so hope you don't think she's lame. Love, Uncle Gordon. I know it's silly, said Annie. Julie softly responded, no, it's nice. I don't have any uncles. The rest of the afternoon, the girls played with dolls and were sad when it was time for Julie to go. But when Julie was walking to the door, she stopped at a picture. Annie looked. That's my Granny and Pappy's. We go there every year over winter break. They come here in the summer and take us on a road trip. Julie's eyes got big. Every summer you go on a road trip? Annie shrugged. Yep, last summer we went to Hedgehog Canyon. Julie shook her head. Don't tell me, just because, and left. Annie was puzzled. Is just because a bad thing? The next morning, Annie woke up and thought, it's my birthday. She closed her eyes and wished for a birthday party with a big cake and then headed to the kitchen. Mom was in the kitchen drinking dandelion tea and eating carrot chip muffins. Guess what? Annie said. What? Responded Mom. Today is my birthday. Her mom looked at her. You don't look any different. Do you feel any different? Before Annie could think about it, her big brother Lee and her dad came in. Annie announced, today is my birthday. So, responded Lee. Annie stuck out her tongue. Already? Questioned her dad. Yes, mumbled Annie. I can't believe you're 6 already. Dad, I'm 8. What? 8? That is so old. You know that means it's time for new chores. Annie groaned. Dad eyed her and asked, you want to keep your old chores? I thought you didn't like taking out the trash. Annie mumbled, no. Oh, good, replied Dad. Remember, as we grow up, we add more responsibilities and are expected to make bigger contributions to help out. Mom gently put her hand on Annie's shoulders. With more responsibilities comes more privileges. Think hard on your chores. And she kissed Annie on the head. Annie didn't have time to think about chores because Lee kicked her under the table and asked, do you want to make a blanket fort? Of course, Annie did. And they spent all morning making the biggest blanket fort ever. Mom even helped, and Dad challenged everyone to pillow fights that left an enormous feather mess. After cleaning up and Annie's favorite lunch of grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with banana chips, they went on a bike ride to the ice cream shop. Dad splurged on hot raisin sundaes for everyone. When they got home, Mom said she was going to make asparagus tacos, and since Annie was now 8, she was going to learn how. Annie was excited and thought, I'm really growing up. I get to cook. Annie spent the rest of the afternoon with her mom, cooking all of Annie's favorites, asparagus tacos, green bean casserole, and turnip fries. But the best part was while they cooked, Mom told Annie about the day she was born, about the house full of company and how everyone stayed with Lee while Dad rushed Mom to the hospital. Annie laughed when she heard that Lee demanded they send her back because she smelled funny. Dinner was amazing, and even Lee said Annie did a great job. Annie felt so grown up. Then she remembered her chores and shouted, I want to vacuum the living room, set the table, and bring in the mail. Daddy winked at her and said, first an amazing dinner, and now new chores. I think you are showing real responsibility. Enough responsibility for a 9 p.m. bedtime. A 9 p.m. bedtime, thought Annie and smiled. Maybe turning a year older isn't a bad thing, even without a party. As the family sat down to watch Annie's favorite movie, Space Cabbages, the phone rang. It was Julie. How was your birthday? Annie excitedly told Julie about her day, about spending time with her family, her new chores, and her new bedtime. Better than mine, said Julie, upset. Julie told Annie that her mom had dropped the cake. No one came but her little cousin and her 3-year-old brother. They whined because they couldn't go on the big rides, so she could only go on the baby rides with them. Her dad forgot her birthday, and her mom said that she had to wait for the Princess Porky doll for Christmas. I'm sorry, consoled Annie. Annie, I felt sorry for you. Why? Asked Annie. Because you weren't going to have a birthday party or presents. I don't feel sorry for you now. I'm jealous. What? Gasped Annie. You spent the day with your family. You get to go on road trips and have pillow fights. You don't have to wait until your birthday for presents or treats. You get them just because. I think you're lucky. And then hung up. Annie realized Julie was right. She didn't need a big party for her birthday because that isn't what birthdays are about. Birthdays are a day to remember who you are and celebrate that you are growing up. Annie really was lucky.
Yay! I love this story. I absolutely love it. The idea that milestones can be just as important as any other day in the year, I think is a really important message.
Yes.
When my son was just moving out of the house, his friend said, what are you doing for your mother for Mother's Day? And he said, nothing. And they all said, why? Why aren't you doing anything for Mother's Day? And he said, I honor my mother every day. I don't need a special day to do it. So I absolutely love that your books are sharing that message. I think it's fantastic.
And that's it. Birthdays aren't about birthday parties and about birthday presents and birthday cake. They're really are about the fact that you are a year older, and with that comes, bigger responsibilities and
looking forward to spending another year with
mm-hmm.
all of your friends. It's a looking forward time rather than a what can I get time, which I think is always important.
Yeah. So
What's the next book you're working on about?
So right now I'm working on a book about Valentine's Day. So there's the new kid in class, and Annie really, really wants this new kid to like her, but she's not going to be at the school for the Valentine's Day party. And how is he going to like her if she doesn't give him a gift? So she's got that inner turmoil while she discovers what the true meaning of friendship is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself ever writing any other books besides children's books? I know in your brain you're still 5, which makes sense why you would be stuck on children's books. But do you ever have an idea that you might write for older audiences?
Well, my son and I've talked about this a lot. I do have a couple other book ideas that I've thought about for Annie, but I think that the audience is a little bit too young.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, my son and I keep saying that maybe a young adult novel is in the works. Because as I said, I do have a couple ideas that I don't see for this age level. So yes, there is a couple books ideas I have.
So maybe middle grade or young adult?
Yeah, middle grade, young adults. I also, last night, because I'm a writer, so if something comes to my head, I have to stop immediately and write it down.
Of course.
Last night, I actually was talking about buffaloes, and I came up with a small children's book, like a 3 or 4-year-old children's book about buffaloes. So
Nice.
I was writing that out really quickly. So as I said, I do have some other ideas that are not just this age group, but I got to get through at least this Valentine's book before I start expanding my horizons on other things.
Well, I'm very excited to see that you have more ideas in your imagination to share with little people, and that you might share those with older audiences as well. I'm very excited to see what comes from Donna Neumann next. Thank you so much for joining us again. And please, when the next book comes out, make sure you come back and read it for us. Thank you.